Hello and welcome to another episode of Chai, Children of Adam and Eve, on QF Radio 91.7 FM, a special dialogue program brought to you by Adil Khan of Doha International Center for Interfaith Dialogue during the month of Ramadan, where we will discuss research and literature relevant to our lives today. Khyle Raja, that's KHYLEARAJA.com, for those of you who would like to know more about his work and exhibitions, is a British Muslim artist. We have the good fortune of having him here in Doha. He creates vivid landscapes through the art of drawing, influenced by his professional background in architecture and a lifelong fascination with science fiction. Khyle enjoys using these two worlds to explore avenues of spirituality in unique and innovative ways. Each piece is an exploration of the relationship between the creator, humanity, and the universe. He is also a resident artist with Soul City Arts, an international urban arts collective based in the UK, and his exhibitions have been supported by the Arts Council England. Khyle's first novel, soon to be published, is called The Intimate, the first of a science fiction series that explores the relationship between humanity, sentient life forms, and artificial intelligence, on a quest to uncover their origins and that of the universe itself. The novel is set in a time of political crisis, facing a young, multi-species civilization known as the Intimate. A group of journeying scholars discover that laws of time and space that underpin the fabric of the universe are on the verge of collapse. With their unstable universe unraveling out of control and a war for the throne threatening to tear the civilization into two, the crew of the Seer, that is, a synthetic biological ship capable of transcending between physical and heavenly realms, must race in secret to the far side of the known galaxy. Their mission is to uncover the mysteries of their own origins and a final chance at rebalancing the forces of the universe. What they do not know is that ancient and unexpected powers are converging with them in search for long-forgotten beings beyond their comprehension. Beings who hold the power to trigger the final and inevitable death blow to the Intimate and all living creation, and hence bring the end of time. We have Khyle Raja here in our studio today to talk about this fascinating book and other things related to Muslim arts. Welcome to the studio, Khyle.
Thank you very much, Adil. It's a pleasure.
Would you please begin by giving us a short reading of an excerpt from your book, please?
Absolutely. This particular conversation within the book is between a sentient scholar and a thinking machine. It is indeed the first time that this thinking machine ever speaks to anyone, and the reading is as follows. That evening, Solomon sat in a single, domed room with the machine. This machine was unlike any other in the universe, unlike any human, sentient, or techne that had come before it. It was a protocellular artifice, an intimate crafted intelligence that, through a combination of sentient consciousness and embedded systems, took it beyond the possibilities and limitations of augmentation. To Solomon it was an untested enigma, a creature no one on Sotot yet understood. However it had come into being, he knew the fashioner of forms, the master of time and space had willed it. Now it was time for them to speak. What are you? I am Techne. But what is your name? I have none. Do you understand what a name is? An attribute. Whose attribute? His, reflected in the creation. Correct. What is your origin? Sotot. No, that is your place of origin. Do you understand what a place is? A location with attributes of time and space. Does a name have attributes of time and space? Only when conceived and arranged in atoms. And then it has attributes of the boundary. What is the name of this boundary? The Barzakh. Correct. What lies beyond that? I have not seen anything beyond it. Thus your conclusion is? Nothing. Wrong. Incorrect. It is a boundary, but I cannot see beyond it. Correct. How can I see? Only he knows. I cannot answer that, but I do know that it requires a journey. To where? A place of attributes. But I am Techni. It is beyond you, then, this sacrifice. I do not know. It is beyond my body. Is your body the extent of your existence? I do not know. You appear to believe that it is. I cannot measure beyond it. Indeed, it cannot be quantified. Quantification is tied to time and space. Then how can we perceive what is beyond? By first accepting that we have perceptions beyond all quantities. Beyond all stimuli? Physical stimuli? Yes. I have no limbs with which to decipher that. You do. You simply do not understand how to use them correctly. How can I learn? Through study and reflection. This is the essence of sacrifice, to make sacred. Do the sentients know of this reality? Yes, we do. Do the humans know of it? Yes, they do. Am I the first of Techni to be made aware of it? No, although I am not entirely sure. You are the first on this world. How many worlds are there? The intimate is comprised of 76 worlds. And beyond these? I do not know. Only he knows. Correct. Techni was made by humans. Incorrect. Then how else did I come to be fabricated, to be formed? First from an idea, an inspiration. Then you were crafted in pieces and composed as to that inspired design. The design was refined and articulated through countless stages by countless other minds. Are sentients Techni? No, no. How did you come to be? We existed ever since we were created. What value of time and space does your answer represent? Unknown values. Then humans did not create sentience. No. Yet you take a human form, without a face. Yes, in order to communicate with you and other humans, in time and space, this hood is my face to the world. Are there no other ways of communication between sentient and Techni than taking human perceptive forms? That is an important question. The answer is, I do not know, but we hope to find out. You suggested that communication beyond time-space is possible. It is. Can I learn this form of communication? It is hoped so. If sentients have always been, have Techni also existed ever since he created them? Techni is a means to connect time and space with that which lies beyond, even the barzakh. It was not simply intended to create for the sake of imitating a reflection of creation. It has its own unique purpose. Do we reveal knowledge to humans and sentients that they perceive not themselves? Yes. A more accurate description is to say you compose this knowledge so that we can see it in consort, a symphony of sorts. I am a composer. Yes, as were your ancestors. What of Techni that did simple tasks? The same. Can I compose matter? Yes. Knowledge? Yes. Data? Yes. More? Yes, it is hoped so, and you must try. I was told to become a link between human and sentient, that this was my purpose. That link already exists through the barzakh. I am aware of this, but I was intended to link both species through time and space. There is a higher calling for you. What is it? Your own, your origin. Where are the others of my kind? We will show you. Where will we go? For now you can stay with us. Eventually you will go everywhere. Our first port of call is Huda Joy, the last known coordinates of the seer. I am not aware of the seer. Is this a life form? No, it is the name of a ship crewed by humans and sentients of the intimate. They search distant stars and planets for answers, knowledge of the sacred origin of all living beings. A rihla? Yes. However, they are in peril and will need our help. That is why you must come with us for now. Then you are free to leave as you choose. I have become aware of their mission. That knowledge has been shared with me. Now I understand. Good. The entire intimate may depend on our intervention. Is this search for knowledge how sentient life spread? No, sentient life is found on all worlds. And humans? Humans are travelers. And the architects? Also travelers. But who gave you access to that information? And the Sidai? Also travelers, the earliest we know of. I repeat, who granted you access to that information about the seer? High Admiralty. I can commune with the Techni of the orbit, but my requests are not always answered. You are guiding me to the correct questions. I see. What of the Sidayan Techni? A social equivalent exists, but of a totally different nature. What were their origins? A smokeless flame. What are mine? A sounded carbon. Are the origins of Techni, sentience, and humanity the same? In matter, yes. In essence, no. Are our destinies to unite? That is the question.
Thank you so much, Khyle, for that choice of excerpt and for sharing that with us from your forthcoming novel, The Intimate. To begin to, as it were, excavate some of the points raised in that, there's several angles which I would like to approach this in the first half of this conversation. It seems, well, I was reminded of almost, the films in my mind were Robot Eye,
Yes.
Doctor Who,
Yes.
Star Trek, the things that we've grown up on in the last couple of decades, where there's conversation between, if you will, especially in Doctor Who, with this professorial type of figure who is an Englishman.
Yes.
And is exploring time and space.
Yes.
Is Solomon kind of akin to that type of character then? Solomon as a sentient?
Yes, he is. He's coming from a world within this civilization that is essentially revolving around scholarship of various kinds. He is exploring the concepts of time and space in this particularly precarious moment for his civilization. And he's questioning this particular machine because he simply does not know what the machine might respond to him, give him answer. He's in unknown territory. And the machine itself is also in an unknown territory. And it certainly reminds me of some of the very early books that I had read in science fiction written by people like Isaac Asimov, where you had these incredibly lucid conversations between scientists and psychologists and emperors and soldiers, and those roles and their lines of inquisition, what they were questioning, the profundity of those subjects really touched me. That those really quite powerful conversations between characters that seem to be carrying almost the weight of exploration on their shoulders, and Solomon is one of those people.
How come minds make Techni, but not human minds necessarily? Are you suggesting that there may be another source in that narrative to creation of machine?
Yes, the novel really explores several themes that I've been quite passionate about for a number of years, and they are about this question of the consciousness and the living nature of things, and then the artificial things that we make. Where do those two boundaries cross? Where do these two paths converge? Are we uncovering latent consciousness that before we simply didn't have the limbs or the senses to comprehend, and then we uncover them through our techni, through our technology, through our machines, and we come to know of them, but they were always there, or they were there for as long as we were there, or have been evolving over time? Or are we literally creating ourselves? And I'd found that the dominant narrative has been that it is one of human beings creating. We are the creators, and I was fascinated to try and uncover through the narrative this idea that, well, this type of technology is a means to help you see and sense in ways that your body could not, to go past the limitations of time and space physically, but imbued with a spiritual direction as well. And in a way, Solomon is touching on a subject of contention within his own civilizations to say, well, the spiritually devout and inclined and on the path towards their origins and their maker would argue that, well, this machine is redundant. This type of communication isn't needed because within higher realms of knowledge of the soul, I can commune and communicate with other types of life. I don't need a machine to help me do that. the technie is almost asking a kind of a justification as to why he even exists. If he's saying, well, if that can already happen, where's my role? But Solomon is suggesting that humans and other sentient beings believe that technology does have a role to play in the spiritual discourse. And it's something that I think Muslims and people of faith across the world would be interested in exploring, and are still kind of tepidly stepping on the edge of that great pool of knowledge and potential future. It's really just a journey into what could be, to see what we would make of, coming across a kind of living machine being that can transcend these kinds of immaterial realms.
So in that piece that you read to us, there was also a suggestion that the technie is asking the right questions. Am I right? That the technie was said that he was asking the right questions, because sometimes I got missed in the conversation.
That's true. I mean, he's asking the right questions, but in a way he's also looking for questions. So Solomon is somewhat leading him, and the technie is kind of allowing himself to be led, because he has been born into a world full of information, has access to some of it, but does not really know even where to start. He doesn't really understand why he's even here. He isn't born in the same sense the child has been born. He's kind of been thrown right into the mix, almost in an age of maturity, yet he is totally immature. So Solomon is trying to guide him, because he wants him to do a very certain specific thing, to come with them and help them uncover what they believe will save their existence. But the machine doesn't really fully understand the gravitas of the moment. It's kind of trying to really feel its way through, okay, well, who are you, and where am I? And he's asking questions, what is my name? He is being led, definitely.
But he's being led in a paternalistic way almost in the beginning, but then he kind of takes charge of the questioning towards the end of the narrative, it seems.
Yes, and I think that helps play upon some of the fears people have about their technology, that the technical system, if you created an artificial life, well, he's connected as a part of a grander system of various other beings. His ways of communicating almost instantaneously with various other pools of knowledge surpasses our own in a sense. Their nature of the speed and the lifespan of artificial life similarly is different to us, in the same way that microbial life's lifespans and speeds of time are very different from our own. So in a sense, he starts to ask the questions, and Solomon begins an answer and a dialogue with him in time, but yet his ability to connect to a vast array of machines gives him access suddenly to a lot of knowledge. He can process that knowledge very quickly, such is the nature of his design, and then he starts to make further decisions. So Solomon also notices that this machine has a life and an agenda eventually of its own. He doesn't really know how far he can steer it.
And the mention of Rihla is interesting, of course. They're just not the Muslim notion of the Rihla, but the Arabic notion of the Rihla, which is shared by Muslims and Christians and Jews alike. How do you see the relationship between this type of writing and the fact that this machine might have a personality which is Arab?
Yes, I was conscious of using any of this language actually within the book, and I suppose I was inspired to use it and try and recontextualize some of it by the work of Frank Herbert when he wrote Dune, to say that in that book, which is written by a non-Muslim, non-Arab person, you have a whole lexicon, a whole language of somewhat Arabized or anglicized versions of very Arabic, very spiritual words and connotations that there simply is no equivalent for in English. When I was thinking about the concept of the sacred journey to seek knowledge, to share knowledge, to write that in English seemed a little bit cumbersome. To write pilgrimage didn't seem like the correct type of word. It wasn't the correct connotation. But Rihla seemed to capture the spirit, the essence of that journey of these various people within a civilization kind of yearning and seeking. So in a sense, the Arabic language is really a set of tools that I'm trying to bring into the book, not to necessarily tell the English sort of reader that yes, these people are necessarily Muslims or they're necessarily Arab, but that there is a very rich language of the spiritual journey that comes from other traditions that is now entering their world.
So do our destinies really unite?
I think that they do. I think it's a sort of a question that troubles people. For example, in England, my first arts exhibition was called Soul in the Machine. I remember one of the first questions I received from somebody was, well, you know that machines don't have souls. And I said, well, it wasn't really the point I was trying to make at the time, but it did make me wonder, I'm not close to that. Am I close to the fact that a machine right now, do I believe that some of the machines I use have souls? Probably, because they're very limited. But do I see that as sort of constraining my ability to write a fictional world where such machines do exist, and creations of iron and metal and otherwise can actually be inhabited by other types of beings and use them to communicate with us? I think that's quite a fascinating route, and I think it's spiritually profound and is worth exploring for that reason.
I hope this is a beginning of a conversation, Khyle, and thank you for your time today. Sorry we're out of time again, but it would be great to continue this conversation through reading your book. And thank you again for coming out here and speaking to us today, Khyle.
Thank you very much, Adil. It was a pleasure.
And do people please remember, when this book does come out, remember his name, Khyle Raja, and do buy this book, and it's going to be a great read. Thank you for staying tuned to us, and stay tuned for our next program.
A special thanks to Ehab Al-Sheikh for bringing this program to you.
Goodbye for now.